The sky above planet Kepler 442b was purple like a strange dream. Commander Hyon Wu stood on top of his small base and watched alien ships fill the air like angry metal birds. His hands held binoculars that made everything look closer, and what he saw made his heart beat faster. 50 human soldiers lived in this small outpost far from Earth. They had been watching over the mining colony for 3 months. Everything was quiet and normal until today, when the Vorthic Empire ships came down from space like falling stars. The aliens thought humans were easy to beat. They thought Earth people were weak and stupid. Lieutenant Nara ran up the metal stairs to where Hyon Wu was standing. Her face was serious, but she did not look scared. She had been a soldier for many years and had seen dangerous things before. Sir, they are putting soldiers on the ground, she said, pointing toward the landing ships. I think they believe we will give up without fighting. The Vorthic aliens had sent messages to Earth before coming here. The messages were hard to understand, but the meaning was clear. They wanted to take over human planets and make humans into slaves, they thought. Earth soldiers only had simple guns and weak bodies. They expected all humans to surrender in just a few hours. What the aliens did not know was very important. Hyon Wu base was built right on top of the colony's main weapon storage place. 3 days ago, a big ship from Earth came and brought something very special. The huge things under the cloth covers in the underground garage were not just normal equipment. They were humanity's secret answer to alien pride. The first Vortex soldiers came down from their shiny ships, and they looked like giant metal spiders walking on 2 legs. Each alien had 4 arms and carried energy weapons that made humming sounds of power. They were 8 feet tall, much bigger than any human. Their skin was like silver metal armor that reflected the purple sunlight. General Fexus was the leader of these alien soldiers. He sent a message that all humans could hear on their radios and computers. His voice sounded like a machine talking, but the words were clear and full of anger. Weak humans, he said, your silly fighting ends right now. We have learned about your kind. You are soft and slow and pathetic. Give up now, and maybe we will let some of you live as our slaves. Hyon Wu listened to these words and smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret that would surprise the aliens very much. He watched as nearly 1,000 alien soldiers began walking toward his base in straight lines like they were marching in a parade behind Hyon Wu. His communications officer Dongmin was already typing fast on his computer, sending secret-coded messages back to Earth Command. This fight was not just about protecting one small colony anymore. This was about showing the whole galaxy what humans could really do when someone tried to hurt them. The alien soldiers walked forward with confidence. They moved like they had already won the battle. Their scanning machines told them there were only 50 humans in the base. Their weapons could cut through steel like butter. Their armor could stop most bullets and bombs. They had won battles on dozens of other planets, so they thought this would be easy and quick. The aliens had big guns that shot energy beams hot enough to melt rocks. They had armor that could stop explosions. They had technology that was hundreds of years more advanced than what they thought humans had. They believed humans were still using old-fashioned guns that shot metal bullets. What they did not know would change everything. They did not know that deep under the ground, something was waiting, something that would make them wish they had never heard of Earth, something that would teach them that humans were not the weak creatures they thought they were. The alien ships landed in perfect formation, making burn marks on the ground where their engines touched. The doors opened with hissing sounds, and more soldiers poured out like water from a broken dam. They carried their energy weapons ready to fight. They wore helmets that covered their faces and had glowing red eyes. General Fexus stepped out of the biggest ship and looked at the human base with 4 eyes that could see heat and movement. His scanner showed him exactly where the 50 humans were hiding. He could see their body heat through the walls like they were glowing candles in the dark. This will be over before the sun sets, he told his soldiers. The humans have nowhere to run and nothing to fight with. Destroy anyone who resists, but try to keep some alive for slaves. The alien soldiers spread out in a wide circle around the human base. They moved like they were hunting small animals that could not fight back their energy. Weapons charged up with crackling sounds and glowing lights. They were ready to burn down anything that got in their way. But deep underground in the darkness, something else was getting ready. 2 engines that had been sleeping were starting to wake up. Metal beasts that had been waiting were beginning to move. Heavy tracks were starting to turn, and massive guns were beginning to load. The aliens thought they knew everything about humans. They thought they were smart, and humans were dumb. They thought they were strong, and humans were weak. They thought they had better weapons and better armor. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. The battle that was about to start would be talked about on every planet in the galaxy. It would be remembered as the day the aliens learned that humans were not prey, they were predators who had been pretending to be sheep. And when the sheep finally showed their teeth, the wolves would run away screaming. In the underground garage, 3 sleeping giants were about to wake up and show the Vorthek Empire what human engineering really looked like. Deep under the ground, in the dark underground place, Sergeant B.O. Ram touched the smooth metal sides of the greatest war machine that humans had ever built. The M1A3 Abrams tank was made special for fighting on planets far from Earth. The armor plates shined under the bright lights like mirrors. 3 of these metal monsters sat next to each other, and their crews were checking everything to make sure it all worked perfectly. Tank 1 is ready, said Gunner Jin Ho as his hands moved fast over the glowing computer screens. All the systems are working good, Tank Commander. So Young spoke through the radio from inside the second tank. Tank 2 is ready to fight. The heat sensors show alien bodies walking toward the main gate right now. The third tank was controlled by veteran Sergeant Wu Jin, who had fought in many battles before. These were not just normal vehicles, they were 70-ton proof that humans could build amazing things. Each tank had a 120mm cannon that could shoot holes through 3 feet of solid steel above ground. The Vorthek soldiers had reached the walls around the human base. General Thexus looked at the simple concrete walls and basic defense positions and thought they were funny. His heat-scanning machines showed him all the humans hiding in their small shelter like scared animals who were too afraid to fight. Start the attack, he told his soldiers. Make it fast. I want to tell our leaders we won before the day ends. The first group of Vorthek warriors walked toward the gates like they were taking a walk in a park. Their plasma rifles were charging up with deadly energy, ready to melt any human defenses they found. They expected to hear screaming and crying and maybe a few weak shots from old guns before the humans gave up completely, but what they heard instead was the sound of huge diesel engines starting to roar somewhere under their feet. The aliens stopped walking because their sensitive ears could hear the deep mechanical growling that seemed to come from inside the planet itself. General Thexus made an angry face behind his helmet. His scanning machines showed no big machinery and no power sources that could make such loud noise. Then, the ground started to shake like an earthquake was beginning in the underground garage. B.O. Ram gave the signal that her crew had been waiting to hear for a long time. All units, this is Tank 1 time to show these aliens what human engineering looks like. Move out now. The massive metal doors that had been hidden to look like part of the natural rock walls began to slide open with grinding sounds. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling as 3 monsters of human warfare got ready to introduce themselves to a galaxy that did not expect them. The engines roared louder and louder like angry metal dragons waking up from a long sleep. The sound echoed through the underground tunnels and up through the ground, making the alien soldiers above feel vibrations in their feet and in their bones. Jin Ho checked his targeting computer one more time and saw green lights everywhere, meaning everything was perfect for battle. So Young tested her communication systems and heard her crew members reporting that all weapons were loaded and ready. Wu Jin started his engine and felt the powerful machine respond like a living creature that wanted to fight. The aliens above ground were starting to look worried. Some of them stopped walking and looked around, trying to figure out where the strange sounds were coming from. Their leaders had told them that humans only had simple weapons and weak defenses, but this noise sounded like something much bigger and more dangerous. General Thexus tried to use his advanced scanning equipment to see what was making the noise, but the thick rock and metal underground blocked his sensors. He could not see the 3 war machines that were getting ready to change everything. He thought he knew about humans. The blast doors were now fully open and bright. Light from the underground garage began to shine out into the purple alien sky. The first thing that appeared was the long barrel of Tank 1 main gun pointing up at an angle like a finger pointing at death. B.O. Ram felt her heart beating fast with Excitement. She had trained for this moment for years, learning how to operate the most powerful land weapon that humans had ever created. She knew that what happened in the next few minutes would either save the human colony or destroy it completely. The tank tracks began to move slowly at first, but then faster as the massive weight of the war machine started rolling forward. The other two tanks followed behind, making the ground shake even more as 70 tons of metal and weapons began to climb up the ramp toward the surface. The aliens could now see something moving in the darkness below, but their eyes could not understand what they were looking at. They had never seen anything like these machines before. Their intelligence reports had said humans only had small guns and weak armor, but this looked like something from their worst nightmares. The first tank broke through into the purple sunlight, and the aliens got their first full look at what human engineering could really do when humans got angry. The first thing the Vorthak aliens saw was the gun barrel of Jin Ho 120mm cannon coming out of what they thought was solid rock. The huge gun tube was longer than two alien soldiers standing on top of each other, and it moved with perfect machine precision toward their front battle lines. "What is that thing, General?" Thexus shouted with all four of his arms waving around frantically at his soldiers. "Our scanning machines showed no heavy weapons anywhere before." Anyone could give him an answer. Tank 1 burst out of the hidden underground garage like a metal dragon waking up from its cave. 70 tons of American steel and human determination rolled forward on tracks that crushed alien equipment under their weight like toys. The reactive armor panels looked like dragon scales, and the main gun moved like a hunting animal as it found its first target. "This is the Earth Defense Force," BORAM voice carried across the battlefield through the tank external speakers. "You wanted to see what humans can do. Here is your demonstration." The aliens started shooting immediately with their plasma weapons, painting the air with deadly energy beams. The super hot energy bolts hit Tank 1 front armor and scattered like water drops hitting a mountain. The advanced reactive armor absorbed the hits with barely a scratch mark because it was designed specifically to handle energy weapons after Earth. First encounters with alien technology. Target locked on enemy group Alpha. Jin Ho reported calmly, as his crosshairs centered on a group of 20 Vorthak warriors ready to fire. The sound of the main gun firing was like thunder being created inside a metal tube. The 120mm depleted uranium shell traveled faster than alien eyes could see, crossing the battlefield at over 1 mile per second. Where 20 warriors had been standing, there was suddenly nothing but a smoking hole in the ground and scattered pieces of what used to be advanced alien armor. The psychological effect was immediate and terrible. The Vorthak, who had conquered dozens of worlds through superior technology and fear tactics, suddenly found themselves facing something their computer databases had no information about. These were not the primitive projectile weapons their intelligence had told them about. This was destruction on a scale that went beyond their understanding of human capabilities. Tank 2 and Tank 3 came out of their hiding spots with their guns already tracking new targets. So Young voice cut through the alien confusion as her gunner found a cluster of Vorthak vehicles. Tank 2 engaging enemy armor. "Let us see how their flying machines handle some good old-fashioned American explosives." The aliens' sleek attack vehicles were designed for speed and energy weapon battles and had no defense against kinetic energy weapons of this magnitude. The second 120mm shell turned 3 alien flying crafts into expanding clouds of metal pieces, their crews never knowing what killed them. General Thexus finally understood what his forces were really facing. These were not desperate humans hiding behind weak defenses. These were predators who had been lying in wait, allowing their prey to walk into a carefully prepared killing zone like spiders, waiting for flies to get stuck in their web. The alien formation began to break apart as individual soldiers realized they were not fighting scared colonists but trained killers who knew exactly what they were doing. Some aliens tried to run, but the open ground gave them nowhere to hide. Others tried to group together, but that just made them easier targets for the tank gunner's tank 3. Commander Wu Jin had been waiting for this moment for his entire military career. His gunner found a group of aliens trying to set up a heavy plasma cannon on a small hill. Tank 3 firing high explosive at grid reference 77 Alpha. The bunker-busting shell was designed to destroy concrete fortifications, and it deleted the alien heavy weapons position from existence, leaving only a smoking crater where moments before there had been 6 of the Empire's finest warriors. The aliens who had been so confident just minutes before were now running around like ants whose hill had been kicked over. Their energy weapons that could cut through steel were useless against armor designed by humans who had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Their advanced technology meant nothing against simple kinetic energy delivered with overwhelming force. Human infantry soldiers began appearing from hidden positions around the battlefield, moving with the coordination that came from years of training together. Each soldier carried weapons that, while basic compared to alien energy rifles, proved devastatingly effective when used by people who knew how to fight. The tide of battle had completely turned in just a few minutes. Panic spread through the Vorthic ranks like fire spreading through dry grass as more human defenders came out of hidden positions all around the battlefield. The aliens had expected to find terrified colonists begging for mercy, but instead they found disciplined soldiers who moved like parts of one big machine working together. Commander Hyan Wu led his infantry soldiers in a flanking attack while the tanks provided devastating covering fire. Each soldier carried weapons that seemed simple compared to alien energy rifles but proved incredibly deadly in human hands. Their ceramic body armor turned away plasma bolts that should have been instantly lethal, and their tactics showed a level of strategic thinking the Vorthak had not seen. In their previous conquests, Tank 3, we have alien heavy weapons setting up on the ridge. Lieutenant Nara reported as her sniper rifle found targets. Permission to call in fire support. Wu Jin response came immediately, confirmed. Tank 3 adjusting fire to grid reference 7-7 Alpha. The 3rd Abrams tank turned its massive gun turret toward the alien position with mechanical precision. The Vorthak heavy weapons team never had a chance to fire their plasma cannon. The high explosive shell designed for destroying bunkers deleted their position from existence, leaving only a smoking crater where moments before there had been 6 of the Empire's finest warriors. General Thexus finally realized his carefully planned invasion was turning into a massacre, but not the kind he had wanted. His forces were being systematically destroyed by weapons and tactics his intelligence officers had never suggested humans possessed. These tanks moved like living creatures, and their crews worked together with coordination that spoke of years of training and battlefield experience. The alien general tried to contact his command ship orbiting above the planet, but the human communication jamming systems were blocking his signals. He was trapped on the surface with his army falling apart around him, watching his elite soldiers being picked off one by humans who seemed to enjoy the fight. Retreat. He finally ordered, his voice carrying desperation he had never felt in 20 years of conquest. All units fall back to the landing zone immediately, but the humans had planned for this retreat too. As the aliens began their desperate withdrawal, they found their escape route blocked by Tank 2, which had circled around during the battle. Like a hunter herding prey, so young voice carried across the battlefield with cold satisfaction, going, "Somewhere the Earth Defense Force would like to have a word with you about proper invasion manners." The psychological warfare was as devastating as the physical destruction. These humans were not just defending themselves, they were enjoying it. They moved and fought like they had been born for this exact moment, turning what should have been an easy conquest into the Vorthic Empire worst nightmare in their entire history. Individual alien warriors began abandoning their positions and running for their lives in complete panic. But there was nowhere to run on the open ground between the human base and the landing zone. The tank thermal imaging systems tracked every movement with merciless efficiency, like electronic eyes that could see through darkness and smoke. Lieutenant Nara had positioned herself on a high building with her sniper rifle and was picking off alien officers. One by one, her rifle could punch through alien armor at distances that made the aliens think they were safe. Each shot dropped another enemy leader, making their already broken formation even more chaotic. The alien formation broke completely as soldiers threw down their weapons and ran in every direction like scared animals. Some tried to hide behind rocks or in small holes, but the tank main guns could destroy any cover with single shots. Others tried to surrender, but the humans were not interested in taking prisoners from an army that had come to make them slaves. Tank 1 rolled forward, crushing abandoned alien equipment under its tracks. Round used the external speakers to broadcast a message that every surviving alien could hear. This is what happens when you underestimate humans. We are not the weak species you thought we were. The three tanks worked together, like a pack of mechanical wolves, herding the surviving aliens into smaller and smaller groups where human infantry could finish them off. The coordination between the different types of human forces was something the aliens had never seen before. In all their conquests, alien technology that had seemed so advanced just hours before now lay scattered across the battlefield like expensive toys broken by angry children. Their energy weapons had been useless against human armor. Their flying vehicles had been swatted out of the sky like insects. Their scanning systems had been fooled by simple camouflage. The few alien soldiers who managed to reach their landing ships found that human soldiers had already been there, placing explosive charges on the alien engines and weapon systems. Even their escape route had been part of the human trap from the very beginning. The battle lasted less than 2 hours, but its echoes would be felt across the galaxy for generations to come. Of the 1,000 Vorthak warriors who had landed expecting easy victory, fewer than 50 escaped to their ships. Alive, General Fexus himself lay among the fallen, his arrogance finally silenced by a precise shot from Lieutenant Nara's sniper rifle that found the weak spot in his supposedly impenetrable armor. As the remaining alien ships retreated into the purple sky with their tails between their legs, Communications Officer Dong Min was already broadcasting the entire engagement to every frequency the Vorthak used throughout their empire. The message was simple but clear: humanity was not the easy target the aliens had assumed. This is Commander Hyan Wu of the Earth Defense Force's voice carried across interstellar space to reach every alien civilization that might be listening. To any alien force considering aggression against human colonies, what you have witnessed here today is just a small sample of human defensive capability. We are not the primitive species your intelligence suggests. We are not weak, we are not defenseless, and we will never surrender to bullies. The three tanks sat silent in the aftermath of the battle, their crews running post-battle maintenance checks with the calm efficiency of professionals who had just finished another day at work. Ram climbed out of her tank hatch and looked over the battlefield where alien technology lay scattered among the proof of human superiority. The Vorthak energy weapons and advanced armor had been completely outmatched by human engineering and tactical superiority. Maintenance report, she called out to her crew. How are we looking after that little demonstration? Minor scorch marks on the reactive armor, Jinho replied as he ran his hands along the tank hull checking for damage. Nothing that will not buff out with some polish. Main gun cycled perfectly and all systems are working perfectly. Tank 2 and Tank 3 reported similar results. The aliens' most advanced weapons had barely scratched the paint on humanity's war machines. It was a lesson that would spread throughout the galactic community faster than light could travel. Between star systems, news of the complete defeat reached the Vorthak High Command within hours through their communication networks. For the first time in their empire entire history, a conquest had been not just repelled but turned into a complete disaster that would be remembered forever. The species they had dismissed as primitive had demonstrated military capabilities that rivaled or exceeded their own in every category that mattered. Emergency council sessions were called across alien governments throughout the galaxy. Intelligence reports were reviewed and found to be catastrophically wrong. The humans, it seemed, had been vastly underestimated by everyone in the galactic community, including their supposed allies and trading partners. The Galactic Council, which had been preparing to offer humanity minor protectorate status, suddenly found themselves needing to completely reconsider their approach to Earth relations. The humans were no longer a curiosity or a minor species to be managed. They were a major military power that had announced their presence with the sound of thunder and the smell of burning alien metal. Alien news networks across dozens of species began broadcasting footage of the battle. That human satellites had helpfully provided the images of 3 primitive-looking tanks completely destroying 1,000 elite Vorthak warriors became the most watched video in galactic history. Military analysts from every major alien civilization began emergency studies of human warfare, trying to understand how such simple-looking machines could be so devastatingly effective. The answer they found was disturbing to those who had considered themselves superior to the newcomer species. Humans had not just built better weapons, they had built weapons that perfectly matched their own psychology and tactical thinking. The tanks were not just machines, they were extensions of human will and determination, made manifest in steel and high explosives. Ripple effects of the battle began spreading immediately. The crystalline collective, which had been planning their own expansion into human space, suddenly developed a strong interest in trade agreements. Instead, the Stellar Brotherhood began offering technology exchanges rather than conquest. The Zephyrian Empire started sending diplomats instead of invasion fleets. Every alien civilization that had been watching humanity with predatory interest suddenly found themselves reconsidering their plans. Human space, which had seemed so vulnerable and tempting just hours before, now looked like a very dangerous place to visit without invitation. 6 months later, the mining colony on Kepler 442b had become something it was never intended to be: the most famous human outpost in known space. Alien diplomats arrived every week, not with invasion fleets, but with trade agreements and non-aggression pacts tucked under their arms like school children bringing homework to teacher. Commander Han Wu stood in the same spot where he had first seen alien ships filling the sky, but now they came bearing gifts rather than threats. The 3 Abrams tanks that had changed everything sat in places of honor like monuments to human determination, and their crews had become celebrities throughout human space with requests for interviews and appearances. Sir Lieutenant Nara approached with the daily intelligence briefing folder under her arm. We are getting reports from across the entire sector. The Zephyrians want to establish formal diplomatic relations. The Crystalline Collective is offering us their advanced technology in exchange for our friendship. Even the Stellar Brotherhood is requesting permission to study our advanced kinetic warfare systems. Bio Ram laughed from her position on top of Tank 1, where she was teaching new tank crews who had requested transfer to the now famous tank unit from across human space. Advanced kinetic warfare systems, she said while polishing a section of armor. That is a very fancy way of saying we shoot big bullets at things until they stop moving and causing trouble. The transformation was remarkable and almost unbelievable. Humanity had gone from being considered a minor primitive species, barely worth noticing, to being recognized as a major military power virtually overnight. The galaxy-established empires now spoke of humans with a mixture of respect and fear that had never existed before in recorded galactic history. The Vorthok Empire, meanwhile, had retreated to their home systems like wounded animals. Their expansion plans were indefinitely postponed while they tried to figure out how their intelligence-gathering methods could have been so completely wrong. The defeat on Kepler 442b had not only cost them a battle, it had cost them their reputation as unstoppable conquerors that they had built over centuries. Incoming transmission from Earth Command Communications. Officer Dongmin announced from his station. Looks like we are getting some very important visitors. The message was brief but significant. A full battle group was coming from Earth to establish a permanent defensive position in the system, complete with a full armored division and supporting forces. Humanity was making it crystal clear that the defense of Kepler 442b had not been a fluke or a lucky break. It had been a demonstration of standard human military capability. As more alien diplomatic ships continued to arrive each day requesting meetings and treaties, one thing became abundantly clear throughout the galaxy. The species that had seemed so weak and primitive possessed something far more dangerous than advanced energy weapons or exotic alien technology. They possessed the will and capability to turn simple machines into extensions of human determination and the tactical brilliance to make even basic kinetic weapons devastatingly effective against any opponent. Most importantly, they had proven beyond any doubt that they would not be intimidated, conquered, or dismissed by anyone. No matter how advanced they claimed to be, the tanks of Kepler 442b had spoken with voices of thunder and steel, and the entire galaxy had listened carefully to every word. Humanity's message was now crystal clear to every alien civilization that might be thinking about expansion. Underestimate humans at your own peril. Because when cornered, humans do not surrender or beg for mercy, they bring tanks. And sometimes in the vast darkness of space, Between the stars that makes all the difference between being prey and being the predator that everyone else fears and now, every alien species in the galaxy knew exactly which one humans really were. The three tanks sat quietly in their places of honor. Their guns pointed toward the stars like fingers pointing at any alien civilization that might still think humans were weak. Their crews slept peacefully, knowing that they had changed the course of galactic history with nothing more than 70 tons of steel, some high explosive shells, and the unbreakable human spirit that refused to bow down to anyone. The message had been sent and received. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. Chat controls Sonnet 4.